All right, welcome. This is DB talking now, DB talking birds, DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. We have some breaking news. Head coach Doug Pederson of the Philadelphia Eagles has been fired as of this morning, 3 seasons after winning the Super Bowl. Look, here's my take on this. It was either going to be Carson Wentz or it was going to be Doug Pederson. Now Carson Wentz's fate with the franchise is yet to be seen, and we're just going to have to let this thing play out and see how that plays out from here. But I think that this is a move in the right direction in keeping Carson Wentz in Philadelphia to see what really went wrong with Carson Wentz and to try and make their best attempt in fixing him. Because under Doug Pederson's tutelage, Carson Wentz regressed like nobody saw coming. So I think that this move was just a move in the best interest of both parties. Now Doug Pederson did meet with Jeffrey Lurie twice over the past week, and apparently the second meeting with Jeffrey Lurie did not go as smoothly as Doug Pederson probably had planned. According to various reports, Doug Pederson, what he wanted to do, what his vision was for the future of this franchise was to promote quarterbacks coach Press Taylor to be offensive coordinator and to promote defensive line coach Matt Burke to be defensive coordinator. And if that were not the case, then he would bring back former defensive backs coach Corey Unland to be defensive coordinator. And my response to that is that's absolutely ludicrous. Those ideas, those recommendations, those suggestions, those are absolutely ludicrous. And it just makes you wonder, where in the world did the screw go loose in Doug Pederson's head to think that would be an acceptable suggestion at the planning table for Jeffrey Lurie? Where did he think that would be a good idea? Now there is one person who has remained unscathed throughout this entire thing, or as yet to be seen. He has remained unscathed up to this point, and that is General Manager Howie Roseman. Now, here is the thing. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I think I speak for the majority of Philadelphia Eagles fans when I do say this, is we're tired of the power struggle. We're tired of hearing about the power struggle in Philadelphia. And every time as fans, when we talk about it, it always goes back to one name, and that is Howie Roseman. You know, and it seems during that 2017 season that everybody was working in, everybody was collaborating just a little bit better during that season, or at least they were doing a better job of showing us that they were doing it a little bit better. But now it kind of got to the point where each party wants it their way or no way at all. And now this is what happens. People get fired, people lose jobs. And the Eagles fans are left wondering. But we're going to talk about this because I really do want to talk about what it means for Carson Wentz. I think it could be either a really good thing, and I've always said this as in my previous streams. I want Carson Wentz to stay on this team. I am a Carson Wentz faithful. I do love everything that Jalen Hurts did. Not everything, but for a rookie, I love the things that he did, and the potential that he showed towards the end of the season. But my faith lies behind Carson Wentz, and so I want to see them fix Carson Wentz before they just up and let him leave. And so I believe that this is a move to protect Carson Wentz. This is what that is, because I don't think, and this is congruent with numerous reports as well, that just Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz just cannot coexist. They would not be able to coexist. I think that there was a vision that Doug Pederson had for the offense that Carson Wentz just couldn't jive with. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of people wanted to complain about how Carson didn't jive with Doug Pederson's offense. Well, I mean, really ask yourself, are you jiving with Doug Pederson's offense over the last couple of years? Are you guys jiving with Doug Pederson's offense over the last couple of years? Because when you have as many offensive line changes as you had and you continue to throw the ball 40 times a game, how in the world is that making sense? How in the world is that making sense? But now, the hope is that we don't have to worry about a thing like that because Doug Pederson is now out of Philadelphia, and now the head coaching search is on. And now there's 7 head coaching vacancies open in the NFL. The difference between the other 6 is that each one of them has at least a veteran quarterback with some experience, whereas Philadelphia, we have a quarterback in Carson Wentz who was once at MVP form, and we need somebody to come in to try and get him back to that form. And do I think that is plausible? Do I think that that's possible? Do I think that is something that can be done in this realm of reality? Yes, I do. I do think that can be done, and I do think that if it can be, if it is achieved, and we were to see the result of that type of achievement, we will not regret it. That is my belief, and that is exactly why I want to keep Carson Wentz on this team, and I do not want to see Carson Wentz leave. Now, what does that mean for Jalen Hurts? Does that mean that we flip Jalen Hurts for picks? That's the big question. Please leave your comments and your questions and anything that you want to touch on in the comments below. This is a huge move. This is a huge move. Firing Doug Pederson three years after he won the Super Bowl. I mean, what are they going to do? What are they going to do now? I mean, there's a statue outside of the stadium of this guy. What are they going to do now? What are they going to do now? Because John Dorsey is in the front office and on that staff somewhere, holds some sort of a title, and he's the GM. He's a consultant. He's always spoken about bringing the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator over to wherever he went, and so that's my first and foremost. That's probably the first place that I point to. The only issue with that is that the Chiefs are in the playoffs still, and probably will go deep into the playoffs. And so, but the other piece of this is that I don't think Jeffrey Lurie would have done this without having somebody in mind. Clearly, Howie Roseman, made his pitch to Jeffrey Lurie, made it great, came up with a great plan, came up with a great vision, and weaseled his way back into the plans for the future, the future plans for this franchise, as he continues to do. I mean, despite what you may think about Howie Roseman, I mean, you got to give the guy some credit. He's managed to protect himself through 3-4 head coaching changes. Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Pederson, and then the new guy, whoever the new guy is going to be. So this is all going to be very, very intriguing, very interesting, and the hope is that they bring in somebody who is a bit more innovative offensively. And I got to go back to this. I mean, even when we first hired Doug Pederson to coach the Philadelphia Eagles, I didn't think he was that innovative. Yes. Did he come from the Andy Reid tree, and was Kansas City doing some great things at that time? Of course. But there were questions about whether or not Doug Pederson was calling the plays for Kansas City at that time, and was it Andy Reid? Look, we all know who it really was. It It was Andy. It was Andy. And come on, we know where the versatility came in 2017. It came from Frank Reich. So before anybody wants to get their torches out and torch the sides of the buildings, just remember, I have no hard feelings against Doug Pederson. But this is a guy who was brought in, and one of his specialties was to develop the quarterback, because he was a quarterback in this league. That's one of the things that he was praised for. And he let his once upon a time MVP in the running quarterback regress so dramatically that we started looking at him as if he was a 7th round draft pick who had no business being on the field. And that's not okay. So, so it's all going to be very interesting from here. I mean, they have a lot of work to do. The Philadelphia Eagles have a lot of work to do. They have to get a new head coach now. They have to get a new offensive coordinator. They have to get a new defensive coordinator because Jim Schwartz just let his contract expire. And I'm sure whatever head coach that they bring in is gonna want to, bring in some of his own staff, and make some suggestions on who to bring in. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done. And I don't think that, there's a lot of people that say that, oh, maybe he deserved another year. Maybe Doug Pederson deserved another year because he won the Super Bowl 3 years ago. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, you could argue this. You could argue that last year was that year. Look, we just barely got into the playoffs each year since the Super Bowl. So that's not the new norm that I think that they were talking about. That's not the new norm that I think Eagles fans were expecting. That's not the new norm that I know that I was expecting, especially when we had a quarterback like Carson Wentz. We have a quarterback like Carson Wentz. Look, we can rant and rave all we want about how poorly Carson Wentz played this season. He just wasn't into it. He wasn't into the game plan. And it wasn't working. You go through 13 offensive line changes, and you're asking the guy to stand back there 40 plus times a game. He got sacked 50 times in 11 and a half games and hit 120 times. And the guy that you guys said was injury prone didn't get injured. So I believe that that they're going to try and keep Carson Wentz here. I think that was the way to do it. There was a report earlier last week about Howie Roseman trying to enlist in Zach Ertz's help in convincing Carson Wentz to stay in Philadelphia. And this may have been it. I don't believe that Doug Pederson's conversation with Jeffrey Lurie came down to what you can do or what you're capable of doing, and your ability to have success in this league. I think it came down to, staffing adjustments and offensive adjustments and scheme adjustments and things like that. And Doug Pederson just wasn't budging. Or at least that's what it sounds like. The news is still very, very fresh, and I'm sure we're gonna hear some more as the day goes on and as the days go on, and it will be more and it will be more revealing and more telling as we go along here. And as we've been saying over the last week or so, this is going to be in for a bumpy ride. And this is part of it. And who knows, maybe Howie Roseman's seat is not safe. We do not know that, at least for now. It doesn't look like he's going anywhere. It looks like he is safe. But right now we're at a point where we just do not know. So we'll see. We will definitely see. I think here's the thing. I think if they're going to keep Carson Wentz, then they really need to focus on what it actually means to get this guy help. Because you can't say that they didn't try. As much as I hate to say that, you can't say that they didn't try. They just failed at trying. They went out, they drafted a wide receiver. They drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round, even though it was 13 spots ahead of DK Metcalf. They drafted Jalen Reagor instead of Justin Jefferson. They went out and they tried to get him help. They signed Marquise Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin sat out the season. They went out and drafted an offensive lineman in the first round last year. He got injured. So it's just that they failed. They failed with the players that they went out and got. That's the problem. So the thing is that if they're going to keep Carson Wentz, they need to know, then they really need to look at how they're going to, what it really means to actually go out and get him help successfully. That's what they need to do. But I think that, as far as head coaching replacement candidates are concerned, I think that the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, Bieniemy, I think he would be a great Bieniemy. I think that he would be a great. I think that he would be a great option. He would be a great option. I mean, there's a few. I mean, he's at the top of my short list. So. I have a couple. If Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback, I think bringing in Lincoln Riley, even though he is in college, and bringing in another college head coach bringing in another college coach does kind of scare me, since the whole Chip Kelly debacle. But he would be on my short list if Jalen Hurts were the quarterback. But we have quite a few coaching vacancies to fill, and we're just going to have to continue to wait out the ride and continue to go on this ride with the rest of the team and with the rest of the fans and with the rest of the organization, and see how this whole thing plays out. Yesterday and over the last couple of days, there were whispers and reports of Doug Pederson possibly getting traded to the Jets, and so because that's a rare thing. I put a little bit more than 2 cents into that, and I thought that maybe there would be a little bit, that might have some steam there. But 24 hours later, he gets fired. So anything can happen in this league at any moment, and we just have to be ready for it. So, while this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, I will be with you later. To talk about coaching candidates, and you guys have a beautiful, 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 beautiful Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy. Go Birds, baby.